7 people who were totally right, but nobody listened. 7. Alexander Fleming. The first antibiotic in history, penicillin, was famously discovered by Fleming. His work helped to herald in a new age in medicine. But he was warned about bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics. This risk was discussed in his Nobel lecture. According to Fleming, bacteria can develop antibiotic resistance if they are exposed to non-lethal quantities of the drug. But nobody listened. Many strains of bacteria are now resistant to antibiotics due to overprescribing. 6. Roger Boisjoli. Roger Boisjoli was an aerodynamicist. He organized his co-workers to stop the Challenger launch in 1986. He wrote a memo about the solid rocket booster's faulty design. In cold temperatures, the O-rings of the space shuttle were not reliable. Boisjoli and his colleagues were disregarded by NASA. His concerns were justified when the launch occurred in January. All 7 crew members passed away when the Challenger broke apart due to blown O-rings. 5. David Bernays and Charles. Bernays and Sawyer were American climbers. They went to Peru in 1962 to climb Glacier 511. However, they found that the glacier was extremely unstable. The results were reported by Bernays and Sawyer, but the authorities were outraged. The Americans were detained and imprisoned for a short time for fearmongering. Glacier 511 fell 8 years later, in 1970, destroying numerous settlements. It was the worst avalanche in recorded history, taking 30,000 people. 4. George Seiber. George Seiber was a police psychologist. He was hired by the Munich Olympics in 1972. His task was to foresee potential risks. Seiber produced 26 predictions. One of them described a plot by Palestinian terrorists to kidnap the Israeli team. The event planners disregarded Seiber's advice. The threat came out to be true due to inadequate security procedures. None of the Israeli athletes survived. 3. Harry Markopolos. Markopolos was a well-known expert in securities fraud. He was employed by a financial company that competed with Bernie Madoff. Markopolos studied Madoff's operations from 1999 to 2008. He realized right away that it was a Ponzi scheme. In 2000, 2001, and 2005, Markopolos alerted the SEC. However, the authorities showed no interest. Markopolos admitted he lived in fear for his life until 2008. Madoff was detained in 2008 and given a 150-year fraud sentence. 2. Cofer Black. Black was director of the Counterterrorism Center in 2001. On July 10, 2001, Black and his colleagues at the CIA had a meeting with Condoleezza Rice. They warned her of spectacular terrorist attacks in the coming weeks. Multiple and simultaneous attacks are possible, Black said. He specifically warned of increasing Al-Qaeda activities. However, the National Security Advisor did nothing. The official report of the 9/11 Commission omitted the July meeting. 1. The Mesaba. The Mesaba was a ship that sailed through the same waters as the Titanic. All the nearby ships received ice warnings from her crew. The message reached the Titanic, but not the captain's bridge. The radio operator ignored the warning, thinking it was not significant. As a result, the Titanic hit an iceberg and sank.